Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Maybe it's because of the form which is there. It is not showing them, but let's see, it should be there. We'll see. So you can mark that inactive and it will still show up. It's not that now. When you select show all inactive also, then it will show up, or else it will not show up. There you go. It's on the main page. So I can select this and save it, a PR limited. I'm actually making this inactive now and I don't want to do any transactions with this particular vendor. I made it inactive. So go back to your vendor list. And if you refresh it, there is a show inactive option that you see here. So if you scroll down, you see this, a PR limited. This is inactive now. And when you go to any transactions, let us say you want to go into the purchase orders and I want to select APR limited as a vendor. But that will not be available. See, APR is not available for me now. I don't see it here. However, when I go here, I mark it as active and then submit. I marked it as active. So let's go back to the purchase order. So that is a transaction that we are doing on the vendor. So when you go there and now search for, you see this, it's available now. So you understood what is the inactive and active option there. Yes, sir, great. So likewise, you can make the subsidiaries inactive. Usually the subsidiaries are not made inactive because it's a broader classification. It's the widest classification that you have in the accounting. So the subsidiaries are not made inactive. The locations are made inactive. Vendors are made inactive. Customers are made inactive. Items can be made inactive as well. So if you go to your items and open one of the items, there is an option where you can mark any of the item as inactive. So from there on, it won't show up again. That particular item that you're talking about would not show up again. See this in the system information. This is inactive. So if I mark this item as inactive, the iPad Pro 9.732B, if I mark it as inactive, that's done. So even if I search it here, this is the one and it won't show up. Actually, this is a -22. It will show up here, but it won't show up in the list. This is inactive now. If you go to the system information, it is marked inactive. But when you go to the list, when you search in the list, this will not be there as of now. But when you show inactives, when you click on inactives, it will show up. Here is what it is. Any questions on that? No. That's great. So that is what is your sub. So let's get back to the subsidiary topic that we were dealing with. So let's get back to the subsidiary. So this is the logo that you can pull from the file cabinet. You can select what is the country that this belongs to, what is the state, province. So this is a master data which comes as part of the bundle installation. I spoke about the bundle installation guide. So these countries and states and provinces under the countries, like what we have discussed. When you go to this company and then state, you go to the company and then you state provinces listed down here. You've got your countries listed down here. All these are created automatically when you're actually dealing with the bundle installation guide. When you do that, all this come automatically and they will be available for selection. So if I edit this, the country here is Australia. As of now, after you save the subsidiary, all these things will get grayed out, so I can create a new subsidiary. If I go to the new subsidiary, you will be able to see these options which are available. So you can select what is your country. You can select the state and province, which is, which is a mandatory field for us here. So I can create this subsidiary. See, I told you the other thing. You can have this Australian subsidiary as a parent on my trading test. I do not necessarily need to have parent as the parent company as the subsidiary. So let us have Australia as the subsidiary. And then we will see how the hierarchy is. These are the mandatory fields. First of all, let us save the subsidiary, and I spoke about this document. Number prefix. Whenever you are generating whenever you are creating the auto-generated numbers, you can specify what would be your document number prefix. So any document would start from T hyphen, and then if you're creating a purchase order, let us say, if you provide TT here, TT hyphen purchase order 1092. So this is how the hierarchy would go for these numbers. So let me save this. We'll delete the subsidiary, by the way, after saving this. I just wanted you to show how the hierarchy looks when I save the subsidiary. So let's go back to the list now. You see this. Training test is a child of Australia and Australia is a child of parent company. This is how the hierarchy looks like when you create sub-children for your children. Let's go back to the training test again. And I know you have your return email address, which can be specified what exactly would be the return email address. And then the language can be selected. What is your physical year? You know what is a standard physical year that needs to be selected on the subsidiary, and then the currency. What is the currency of that particular country that you are dealing with? For the addition is automatically selected. Whenever you check the country as United States, the addition comes automatically. And this is the EI number. There's something called as employer identification number, wherein whoever is doing business in the United States would have the employer identification number listed down for them. And then this social security number which can be added. So this vendor bill matching, what is a vendor bill matching? So this is an advanced concept. I will explain this to you while we are dealing with the purchase order concept. So just to give you a brief introduction of the three-way bill match. What is a three-way bill? Matches in the purchase order process. You have the main purchase order that gets created. Once it is approved, you will have the item receipt that you need to do. But under this item receipt, you will receive the goods into your warehouse. Correct. And then after this is done, there is a vendor bill that you need to make. Create a vendor bill and then make a payment against this vendor bill. Now, what is a three-way bill match? Three-way bill matches. There are three transactions: purchase order, item receipt, vendor bill. So let us say the purchase order is created for 10 quantity. However, the item receipt is done for 12 because we have enabled a feature called as allow overage on item receipts. If you remember, I was talking about this in the accounting preferences. So, since we have enabled the feature of overages, you will be able to receive more than the quantity which is there on the purchase order. Then let us say the amount is only $100 a year. But if you receive 12 quantity, then this is going to become 120. Because you're receiving 2 quantity more than what is on the purchase order, correct? So there is a difference of $20 in the purchase receipt. The quantity is 12. Here there is a difference. And then there is a Daronti difference from the purchase order amount and the vendor bill amount, correct? 8. Any questions on that? Am I clear? Thank you for the confirmation. So whenever there is a difference between the purchase order item receipt and vendor bill, then it has to trigger an approval to the manager. Because the purchase order quantity is only 10, but we are receiving 12. So that is the reason when you receive more than what is there on the purchase order and when you bill there with the amount more than the purchase order, then it will trigger a 3-way bill match approval to the purchase manager. So if everything is fine, you have not received additional. This is only 10 quantity in the item receipt and this is just about $100. Then it will not trigger any approvals. It will automatically go through the processes normally. That is what is your 3-way bill match. So you can set up the tolerances for your 3-way bill match. So vendor bill, purchase order, quantity tolerance. What we're saying, if there is a difference between the purchase order tolerance, then it has to trigger. You can say 10% or you can say 20%. When I say 0.1 or 0.2, it is 10%. So you can say whenever there is a tolerance, and I say that if there is a 10% tolerance, then it has to trigger a 3-way bill match. If the amount tolerance, what is the amount tolerance? Even this, if it is more than 10%, then it has to trigger. So vendor will purchase order quantity. If it is more than 1 quantity, then it has to trigger a 3-way bill match. Vendor bill, item received quantity tolerance. Percentage. Again, wherever it is tolerance, it is percentage, and wherever it is difference, it is the number that you can specify. So the business will tell you what are the tolerances. If they want to tolerate, just like 1%, then this is how it would be treated 2001. Any deviation with just about 1% also, then this is how you have to define your tolerances at this subsidiary level. So when you define it at the subsidiary level, then any transaction that you do with the subsidiary, if there is a difference in the purchase order item received and vendor bill, it triggers approval automatically. 3-way bill match approval. So likewise, you have the same thing that you can set up at the vendor level also. This is a big concept, guys. I'll explain this to you once again. But if you're going to a vendor, there is a 3-way bill match that you can set up the tolerances at the vendor level also. So you scroll down. If you scroll down, you will have under the financial tab, you have the vendor bill matching tolerances that you can set up. Likewise, you can set up the 3-way bill match at the item level also. The same concept would be applied for items also. You go into the inventory item and you go into the purchase form, which is inventory that you have here, purchasing inventory. Click on that. So it got logged out, but you can actually specify that at the vendor item in the subsidiary level also. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.